So here we that Krishna is comparing devotional service with the demigod worship. So after text number 19, Arjuna has a question. Some people who have material desires worship demigods, unlike Sakam Bhaktas. So what about them? So now Krishna starts comparing them with the Karmeshwar Bhaktas with demigod worshippers. Kameste tirhit jnanaha prapaddante anna devata tam tam niyamamastaya prakatya niyata soya. Please read translation.
Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Hare Krishna.
So now Krishna says about people, those who have no intelligence or those who are followers of demigods. So Hirta Jnana means peoples whose intelligence is stolen. Why it is stolen? Because they think that if we worship Suryadev, immediately sickness would be gone. Whereas if I worship Vishnu, immediately I will not get relief. So these people, they don't know that ultimately all the powers of the demigods come from Lord Vishnu only, Krishna only. So that's why they surrender to demigods. And these surrendered demigods driven by the nature. Prakata niyata swaya. So they are averse to surrendering to the Supreme Lord. That's why their intelligence is stolen. So they don't understand that ultimately everything comes from Supreme Lord only. So what is the complete knowledge which they are lacking? So that Krishna explains in text number 21 onwards, 21, 22, 23. Why Krishna is calling them Het Jnana? Why the intelligence is stolen? Because they don't understand certain things. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhar chitam ikchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tam ev vididhamyaham. Please read translation.
I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
So now these people, whatever forms they desire to worship, that is Surya, which are actually Lord's vibhutis only, like Surya is considered the eyes of the Lord, moon is considered the mind of the Lord. So they are the vibhutis of the Lord. But when somebody desires to worship a particular demigod, they need faith in them. So who gives that faith? Lord says, I only give that faith. Demigod themselves are not capable of giving faith in themselves. Like many of the devotees may be having a certain realization that before coming to Krishna consciousness, we may not be having ability to influence anyone. But then suddenly what happens at a point of time, we start preaching and people start following. So that's Lord's empowerment. That's Lord's empowerment. So Lord empowers, anything can happen. Like just now I'm coming from Yatra from Ek Chakra Dham, then this Kanai Natsala, Ramkeli, so all these places. So then one Ekadasi, the last Ekadasi. So I have some brahmachari councillors and then youths were there. Now they're married. Many of the youths were there. So then on Ekadasi, brahmachari chanted 108 rounds and other people were chanting 64 rounds. So some of the people, they were not chanting also. But some devotees' parents came. So one of the devotees' father, he was not chanting before. But I was praying for all of them. Then I saw power of prayers. The prayers are so powerful. And Lord Nityananda's mercy is so powerful. Since then, he's every day chanting. He took a vow that I'll chant 10 rounds every day after that. And now he's chanting 64 rounds every day. So you were telling, you were telling, anyway, why to waste my life and this and that, no. So every day, and his son is saying, no, Prabhuji, what type of magic you have spelled on him? I don't know, it's not my magic. I have taken many people many times before also. But something which I did differently this time is I really prayed. I was fervently praying to Lord Nityananda, no, please shower mercy upon all these people. Similarly, his mother took vow 6 rounds, but she chanted 16 rounds. So, and many people who we never thought they'll become devotees, like some devotees' parents were very, really hard nuts. So everybody started chanting some rounds. So really, Lord's mercies has no, you can't say it has any limit. So it is Lord only who gives faith. And we should have that faith. So Lord can give any amount of faith to anyone. So who establishes the faith within the demigods also? Is Supreme Lord only. Lord gives that faith. Demigods themselves are not capable. No one living entity is capable of giving that faith. And then Devatas, so they can't give faith. So Lord says, I give that faith. So sit dhyan with them. So that they can fix their faith in a particular deity and then they can worship. And if we find that is the reason sometimes our devotees are bewildered when they read some other scriptures. Why a particular demigod is so much glorified as if he is a Supreme Lord. So certainly partial truth is given there, but it is given so that a person can devote himself to that particular deity. Otherwise, a person who is confused, he can't devote to a particular deity. So that's why scriptures, they glorify a particular aspect of a demigod and highlight it like anything, as if this person is a Supreme Lord. So they give partial information. And then what happens after putting faith? That Krishna explains in 22. Sataya sridaya yuktas tasya radhanam ihate labate cha tata kaman maye vihitan hitan. Please read the translation.
Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires, but in actually, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Hare Krishna.
So that person endowed with faith performs ihate, worship of that devata. So after faith comes, he worships that devata. What happens as a result of that? He gets a desired result, kaman. So whatever desires were there, he gets the result. Now, devatas can't even fulfill the desires also. So first thing I told you, they can't give the faith. Second thing is when somebody worships, they can't fulfill the desires. So for that also, they have to borrow things from Supreme Lord and then give to them. So both things are given by Lord himself, Krishna himself. So then Lord says, I fulfill those desires by giving desired objects. So Lord only does. But they are called Hetgyana. Why? Because they are not able to see that ultimately it is Krishna only who is doing everything. So why not directly approach him? For example, if you have an opportunity to have relationship with Modi, why should you have relationship with peons and no other clerks? So that opportunity is given. Open invitation is there for everyone. Anybody can have a personal relationship with Krishna. So that's why less intelligent people, they don't make the relationship with Krishna. So then Arjuna has a question. But still, my Lord, there is a partiality. There is a partiality. Why there is a partiality? Because to your devotees, you give permanent results, whereas to demigod worshipper, you give them temporary results. So you may say, oh, no. To demigods also, I give the same result and demigods ultimately give. But to demigod and demigod worshipper, you don't give permanent results. You give only temporary results. So don't say that, no, you don't make any difference. You don't discriminate between those who approach you or demigods. You make a discrimination. And then Krishna answers that in text number 23. Antavattu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamedasam devan devyajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Please read the translation.
Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Hare Krishna.
What Lord says, he says it's not unjust, it's not injustice. Why? The rule is one will get whom he worships. That's a simple rule. So worships of the demigods, Yanti, the Devatas, they get temporary results because demigods themselves are temporary. So when demigods themselves are temporary, how can the results which are bestowed by the demigods be permanent? That's not possible. So similarly, but as far as my own devotees are concerned, I am eternal, my devotees are eternal, and our relationship is eternal. So then the result of the worship is also eternal. And that's why Lord says, that's why I say that these people who worship demigods are less intelligent. So the another reason why it is less intelligent. First thing is they don't have correct information. The Lord is the giver of faith. Lord is the bestower of results. Also, they don't know that if you go to Lord Krishna, you'll get permanent result. And actually speaking, somewhere in the heart, we do have a desire to get permanent results. Once we get things, we don't want them to get lost. This was one of my strong doubts, which would prick me like anything before coming to Krishna consciousness. So when I was preparing for ITG, really we have to work very hard. And I was thinking, I have to work so hard just for 20, 30, 40 years. Such a hard work. So I would wonder, no, what a nonsense. Just for 30, 40 years you spend studying for 20 years, working so hard day and night like donkeys. And even after that also you have to work like donkey to get money. It's not that people give you money just like that. So that was one of my doubts. And really, that's something reasonable. So why not work that hard for Krishna and get permanent result? So demigod worshippers, they don't think about it like that. And then Lord says, what to speak of demigod worshippers? Even those who worship or study scriptures very carefully, these people also don't know me. So that's why, apart from my devotees, everybody is foolish. So that Krishna clarifies in 24. That even those who read scriptures but don't devote to me can't understand me. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam mannate mama buddhaya param bhavam ajananto mam avyam anuttamam. Please read translation. Somebody is reading? Yeah.
Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before, and I have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme.
Lord says the intelligent people, what they think? That formless Brahman who is beyond the material world, Avyaktam, he has taken the form of Krishna in the house of Nanda Maharaj or Vasudeva. So that means this form is illusory. So it's an illusory form. And that illusory form has now become visible as Krishna. So these people are actually called Mayavadis. So Mayavadis means these people think that even Brahman can be influenced by Maya and then he takes a form. So some of the Mayavadis, what is their philosophy? Their philosophy is Brahman, when it comes in contact with mode of goodness, it turns into different incarnations. When it comes in contact with mode of passion, it turns into human beings, living beings. They get their bodies. And when same Brahman interacts with mode of ignorance, it turns into matter. So they empower three modes of material nature like anything. That's why they're called Mayavadis. That even Brahman can come in the influence of Maya. So that means Maya is more stronger than Brahman also. So certainly there are a lot of arguments we can give. That if you say Brahman and Maya, there are two, then how everything is one? So that's not possible. Things can't be two, they have to be one only. So we have a lot of arguments. But Krishna himself is saying, he is saying that these people think that my form is illusory, but they don't know. What they don't know? That I have body, it's not like their body. It is permanent body. They don't know my transcendental stage. They don't know that my body is beyond Maya. My activities and pastimes are beyond Maya. They don't know that. So that state is avyam, So already I think I gave the detail of avyam. Vaya means something which is lost. So our bodies are lost, spent. Vaya practically means spent. And avyam means something which is not spent. So Lord's body is not lost. We lost our childhood body, a 4-year-old body, then we got a 5-year-old body, 5-year-old body, then we got a 6-year-old body, then 7-year-old body. But Lord's all bodies are eternal. Krishna's all bodies of all the ages, they are all eternal and they keep on appearing in different planets. So Krishna's body is not like our body. It is anuttamam, it is excellent. It's not made up of mucus, bile, gas and blood and everything. It's not made up of all these nasty substances, stool and urine. So it's anuttamam, it's like filled with good qualities. It's Satchidananda form. Rather, they have no beginning, no end. So in this way, these people don't understand that there can be a form which is transcendental, eternal, and it can be all-pervading also. Because Krishna's form is beyond intelligence. Krishna's form as Gopal is within universe, and whole universe, all the universe are within the belly of Krishna. Now we can understand that through logic. There's something, your hard disk and whatever disk is there, everything will get crashed. How can the entire creation be within the belly of Krishna and Krishna be within his own creation? How is that possible? So not possible. So it's not possible through logic, but that is what is meaning of Supreme Lord. It's called Achintya. Achintya means who is beyond Chinta or intelligence. So these people don't understand that Lord's form is not like metal form. Rather, Krishna does leave a illusory body while going back to Godhead. So many people become bewildered also. So he leads a Maya form. So that's why Mahaprabhu is like much more merciful than Krishna also. Krishna keeps people in illusion even while living. Mahaprabhu makes very clear. Mahaprabhu entered in the deity of Protagopinath. Okay. Now he has a spiritual form. We can understand. Nityanand Prabhu entered in the body of Bakarai. Okay, we can understand. Okay, he is a transcendental form. What to say of that devotees like Mirabai entering in the body of Dwarkadhis, Andal Alvar entering in the body of Ranganath. So even pure devotees of the Lord have a spiritual body. What to say of the Supreme Lord himself? But Krishna is very clever. He leaves his Maya Sarir, Maya body, in order to build the living entities. So, but here in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes very clear that my body is transcendental, it is not material. So, Sridhar Swami says his body bhavam form is eternal. The pure form of Satta endowed with great power. So it's not ordinary. So practically he defeats Mayavad philosophy in this particular verse. And Prabhupada has given a lot of quotations and details to defeat Mayavad philosophy. So that devotees can go through separately. Then Arjuna has a question. He says, you said that your form is eternal. If it is eternal form, so your qualities, pastimes, everything is eternal, then it should be seen by everyone at all times. But we see that no, your form remains for some time, then disappears. So how do we understand that this form is eternal? And then Lord answers in text number 25. Naham prakasa sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha mudo yam nabhijanati loko mam ajam abhayam. Please read translation.
I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible.
So what happens is, like sun is covered by Mount Meru time to time. Similarly, Lord is also covered by Yogamaya. Because of that, Lord sometimes is manifest, sometimes unmanifest. So, Lord is always present with his associates, qualities, pastimes. In some universe at some time, like sun is always present, but then he becomes visible at some places for some time in different time zones. Like sun has set in India, but then sun has arisen in some other place. So similarly, Lord may disappear in one place and appear in some other place. But then Arjuna says, okay, fine, that may be true, but at least you should be visible in the Mathura, Dwarika, Vrindavan, which are eternal places. You are supposed to never go out of Vrindavan. Vrindavan pratyajam padamekam na gacchati. What about that? So therefore, them, those places, Lord says, I am covered by my Yog Maya. So because of covering of Yog Maya, foolish people can't see that the son of Vasudev is Ajam, is unborn, and is free from material birth. So in this way, such people also reject. So if you go in any holy places, like in Mayapur, we have Pranamaya temple, who covers the Dham. So Dham is revealed. Dham is revealed by mercy of the Acharyas, by hearing, by bhajan. So when one does intense bhajan, then Dham becomes revealed. So that is how Dham is spiritual, it is not material. Adape se leela kare gaur rai, konu bhagavan dekhi vare par. Lord Chaitanya is always performing pastimes. But those who are Bhagavan, those who are fortunate can see. So that fortune comes by proper bhajan. If one does bhajan, one can see the Lord all the times. And then further Lord says that how this Yoga Maya covers the living entities, or they cover the form of the Lord. Lord becomes invisible. But it doesn't cover the vision of the Lord. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kasyana. Please read the translation.
Arjuna, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows.
So Lord says, as far as I am concerned, my knowledge is not covered by Yoga Maya, Mahamaya, anyone, because it is ultimately subordinate to God, Lord himself. So Lord is the shelter of Maya, so how can Maya overpower the Lord? So that's why Lord knows everything, past, present, future. But nobody knows Lord completely. Even Lord Shiva doesn't know the Lord completely. Because Lord's knowledge is covered either by Yogamaya or by Mahamaya. So for the conditioned living entities, like all of us, we are covered by Mahamaya, that's why we can't see. And as far as pure devotees are concerned, they are covered by Yogamaya potency. So that's why they can't also see the Lord. So nobody can know living entity, or no one can fully understand Krishna. Only Krishna can understand himself. But then Lord may allow Yoga Maya to act over him if he wants to enjoy. Like if somebody is knower of past, present and future, then there is no fun in life. Like I don't recommend you, but I'm saying, but in the past, I won't say past life, in this life, past years, whatever memories are there, we can find, sometimes you go for a movie, and if your friend is there next to you, and before the climax he starts telling, actually this happened, this is going to happen like that. And this hero, although he's jumping from there, but nothing will happen. He will jump in the river only. And then he will swim and he will be saved. And you feel like, I've lost all fun. Why do you have to reveal me the future? So an anticipation also create a fun in life. So similarly, Lord is knower of past, present, future, but he purposefully covers himself by Yogamaya potency so that he can enjoy. So then somebody becomes a devotee, surprised, my God, no, this fellow's hard nut. So many lifetimes have passed, he never taken to Krishna consciousness. How did he become a devotee? And that's like excitement for the Lord. So this way, Lord covers himself by Yogamaya potency, just to enjoy. But he is not bound. Whenever he wants, he can remove it. That's why Vishnu Chakra Thakur gives a beautiful explanation. He says, generally Krishna wants to be Krishna only. But then whenever some demons come, power of demons doesn't make Krishna angry. What makes Krishna angry is, now I have to leave my nature of Krishna. I have to show my power as Bhagavan and kill this fellow. Why is he coming and not unnecessary creating trouble for me? I'm nicely having a life of Krishna, but this fellow is pressurizing to show myself as Bhagavan. So I have to remove this covering of Yogamaya. So then out of that anger, Krishna comes and kills all these demons. And then again becomes Krishna. So in this way, Krishna covers himself by Yogamaya to enjoy. Okay, how one overcomes Yogamaya? Is it possible? Impossible? See, Mahamaya we can overcome by surrendering to Krishna. Yogamaya one should not try to overcome also. If it is Yogamaya, I am talking about pure devotees. Pure devotees don't like to overcome Yogamaya. Otherwise, how will they enjoy? Like when Krishna was dancing with the gopis, each gopi was thinking Krishna dancing only with me. Now certainly one of the reasons which Acharyas gave is because Krishna was dancing between each gopis. Angana Mangana Mantara Madhavo Madhavam Madhavam Chantir Nangada Ittam Sakalpito Mandale Madraga Sanjago Veduna Deviki Nandana. So beautiful verse. So Angana Mangana Mantara Madhavo. Between each gopi there is Madhava. Madhavam Madhavam Chantir Nangada. Between each Madhava there is gopi. Ittam Sakalpito Mandale Madraga. Further he expands and goes in the center of the mandala of the circle. Sanjago Vedungna Deviki Nandana. And then he plays on flute on Venu. So a description of Ras Mandal. But still somebody may say, didn't gopis ever see in the angle? There are other Krishnas also. They could have seen in the angles, we have a lot of IITians in our here in our Brahmacharya ashram. So they are asking, Prabhu, they must have seen in the angle also. So that's Yogamaya potency. Because of Yogamaya's influence, they didn't see in the angle. They just saw Krishna only both the sides. They were so absorbed in Krishna. And there were demigods who were flying in the airplanes along with their wives. They were seeing everything. Now if you tell them, both of them, to write a commentary on Bhagavatam, they will have different commentaries. So which commentary you would like to read? Commentary of gopis or commentary of demigods? Kalyan Pro, which commentary you would like to read?
Commentaries of devotees, bro. Pure devotees.
Commentaries of gopis.
Gopis, yeah.
So although they are covered by Yogamaya, but that's more realizable than so-called knowledge of demigods. So that's why it's not that knowledge is always very... When we are in ignorance, knowledge is very good. But when you progress in devotion, then knowledge becomes an obstacle. So then not required for overcoming Yogamaya. Okay. Okay, then Arjuna has a question. Now, when do jivas become bewildered? You are saying that they become bewildered, they can't understand me, they can't know me. But since when are they bewildered? Krishna answers in 27. Ekcha देश समत्तेना द्वंद्व मोहिना भारता सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहम सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप. Please read translation.
Ocean of Bharata, O conqueror of foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate.
So sarge is the primary creation, not even the secondary. So even before the secondary creation where living entities physically got a body, from the beginning of creation only they are sarvabhutan, which all the jivas, they are bewildered. Why they are bewildered? Because they have a desire for sense gratification. They have hatred for things which are obstacle to sense gratification. So iksha and dvesh, one is caught up in that. So dvanda mohina bharata. So because of one's past karma, which gives rise to dualities, person is caught up in dualities like respect, disrespect, loss and gain, all these things. So then this duality causes complete ignorance, moham. Because of duality, what happens is, person has a hope for enjoying senses. There's a hope is something which helps a person to be bound in this world. So that's why one of the psychologists, he did a analysis and he found that wealthy people are more miserable than the poor people. And the reason is poor people have something which wealthy people don't have, and that is hope. Hope that one day when we'll get money, we will become very happy. Wealthy people, because they have all opportunity for full sense gratification, they go in depression. They say, my God, all sense objects are there, still I cannot be happy. So that's why that illusion of hope, iksha and dvesh, that is actual cause of Maya in this world. That's why for wealthy people, many times, we find that it becomes a little easier for them to come to Krishna consciousness because they know there's nothing in sense gratification. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to convince them there is no happiness in the world. They know. They know that we have tried with everything. Despite that, we are not happy. So, moha. Because of moha, what happens is, there is complete bewilderment when there's attachment to wife, children, sons, and everyone. And one becomes unqualified for devotion. So that is how a person becomes bewildered from beginning. Moha, mahamoha, all these things, they come in picture. Arjuna gets a question, then who is qualified for bhakti? Is anyone qualified for bhakti? You are saying from beginning of creation everybody is bewildered, and then no, they fall into illusion. Is there anyone who is qualified for bhakti? Krishna says yes. So who is qualified for bhakti? 28. Yesam tu antagatam papam jananam punna karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dranavita. Please read translation.
Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they are engaged themselves in my service with determination. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Veni Madhapu has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Prabhu. Prabhuji, I have two questions. One is, the devotees are entering into the body of the Lord. How to understand this one? And second question is regarding 7.4 and 7.5. These are my separated energies, and there is a superior energy. Two energies are there. At the same time, Durga Devi also we call it as a Mahamaya. She is also energy. So this combination, how to understand, and I read in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada purport writes that sometimes these energies are overpowering each other. So like that. So which energy overpowering whom, like, how to understand this inferior energy, like little bit Prabhu connectivity.
Okay. So one by one, your first question was regarding, I just forgot. First question was regarding
How devotees enter into the body of the
devotees entering in the body of the Lord. Devotees entering in the body of the Lord is not like impersonal merging. It's like entering into Lord's pastimes. It's not that they become Lord, but they enter into the pastimes of the Lord. So it's like that. And so there's a simple answer for that. And as far as second one is concerned, second question is concerned, function-wise, Yogamaya and Mahamaya are different, although they are the same energy. Like Prabhupada gave example, electricity in refrigerator becomes cool electricity, in heater becomes hot electricity. So work of Mahamaya is to cover the reality and display the illusion. So then what happens is person becomes puzzled. Like you find in somebody even sometimes goes to Dham. Once eyes are covered, one cannot see the Dham. Rather one starts seeing, oh, so much dirt is there, somebody is smoking bidi, some people are cheating here. Or sometimes people are eluded by sense gratification. Like many people who go to Delhi, from Delhi to Vrindavan, they go for eating chaat and they come back like that. Go and eat chaat and drink Coca-Cola and come back. So they're deluded. But Yogamaya, what she does is, she covers the reality and increases the intimacy. So that's how Yogamaya functions. So that covering is a good covering. Because when one forgets that Krishna is Supreme Lord, one doesn't forget Krishna. Once one starts realizing the sweetness of the Lord. So when the intimacy of the Lord increases, then what happens is automatically, what we say familiarity being competent is sometimes good also. Like for example, mother of Modi. For her love for Modi is not dependent on whether he is Prime Minister or not Prime Minister. Whether Modi wins the election, loses the election, becomes a Prime Minister, doesn't become Prime Minister, for her love for her child will remain same only. So that is how, for her, the magnanimity of being a Prime Minister doesn't affect her relationship. It has gone a step beyond. She is realizing the sweetness of being a mother. So sweetness supersedes the greatness. That is the function of Yogamaya. So Brajavasis, for them, they know Krishna is God. But for them, it doesn't matter whether Krishna is God or not. Even if somebody tomorrow proves that Krishna is not God, Krishna is a demigod, Krishna is an ordinary human being, for them it doesn't matter. They'll continue loving Krishna only. Now for us, somebody comes and proves that Krishna is not God, someone else is God, and you were in illusion for the last 20 years. We may be bewildered. And then we may start changing our faith and directing our faith to someone else. So that is how just understanding of magnanimity of Krishna, that's not like so realizable. Okay, that answer your question. Okay. So now 28. This is my first Bhagavad Gita question on this particular verse 28. Because I would read Bhagavad Gita if I won't come into Krishna consciousness. The first question I asked is, Yesam tu antagatam papam. Will sin ever end? Because we have to live in this world. How can we get rid of all the sins? So it looks very impractical. So then our acharyas have given very good answer to that. Of course, I didn't get my answer at that time. But that devotee whom I was asking was also a pretty new devotee, not practicing since many years. But I got later on answer. So Krishna says, who have punya karma? Punya karma means spiritual karma, which is accumulated by asana of devotees and mercy of devotees. So when pure devotees glance or pure devotees they bestow mercy, then one gets enough pious credits. And you can see that is actual initiation. That's actual initiation. That's the mercy of the devotees. So certainly initiation is a formal process also. But actual initiation is when we take shelter of a devotee and he starts guiding us. So then what happens is, because of that, sins get destroyed partially, especially the sins which are obstacle in the practice of Krishna consciousness get dissolved. They get destroyed. As they get destroyed, Tamoguna becomes destroyed and Sattva-guna increases. Because Tamoguna gets destroyed, Sattva-guna increases, illusion also decreases. Illusion is predominantly because of Tamaguna. Then when one becomes less attached to the sense gratification and objects of the world, then a person becomes qualified to associate with the devotees of the Lord. But then complete freedom from sins come only by further practice of or worship of the Supreme Lord. That happens further. So Dvanda Moha Nirmukta. And then when one becomes perfect, then one becomes free from illusion. When one becomes free from illusion, then he can be steady in worshipping Krishna. That's basically, you can also refer to it as more as a platform of Nishtha. After Anantanavati, Nishtha comes. So after Anathas are almost gone. So till then there is a struggle. Till then there are ups and downs in life. Instability may be there. So that is how. But asana devotee is very powerful. Okay, so this is the. So Krishna tells in this way, it is possible to become a devotee. How? By asana of devotees. By asana of devotee, by mercy of devotees, disqualifications for practicing of bhakti are destroyed. So Lord clarifies that. So some question is there. Prabhu, then it is not Yogamaya, it is Sarupa. I couldn't understand the question. What do you mean by Abhiram Prabhu? You had a question?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Gopis and Yashoda Mai, that is their Swarupa, or they are in Yoga Maya, Prabhuji?
Is Sarupa means a form. Swarupa. Rupa means a form. Original form of the spiritual world is called Sarupa. But then a person is covered by Yoga Maya, because of which he forgets that Krishna's greatness and sweetness of Krishna becomes manifest. Is that clear?
Once again, Prabhu, you can please explain.
His Swarupa means form of the living entity.
Yes.
But then a living entity, when he is covered by Yoga Maya, he forgets the magnanimity of Krishna. Krishna is so great. And one is just enamored by sweetness of Krishna. That Krishna is my lover, Krishna is my son, Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my master. So then all these things become so prominent that one's greatness or one's understanding of greatness of Krishna is covered.
Like what is Swarupa, then that is not linked. Swarupa Siddhi, Swarupa.
What is your understanding of Sarupa? You tell me. What is your definition of Sarupa and understanding of Sarupa?
Like our eternal position, like what is our relationship with the Lord. That is Swarupa.
No, that's not Sarupa. Sarupa is who are you in the spiritual world. Now currently, no, your material Sarupa is that you are Abhiram Prabhu, husband of someone. I don't know whether you're married, but husband of someone or no, father of someone or son of someone. That's your material Sarupa. But spiritual Sarupa is that we have a particular identity and we have a particular relationship with the Lord, and that is a form. That's called Swarupa. Okay?
Okay.
But then this personality, he is covered by Yoga Maya. Because of that, he is not able to understand the greatness of Krishna. Whoever one may be.
Okay, bro.
Okay? Is that clear now?
Okay, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Swarupa basically. So in this way, Yoga Maya is also not bad. So same energy functions differently for different people. For those who want to forget Krishna, she covers the form of Krishna, displays illusion. For those who want to go nearer to Krishna, she covers the magnanimity of Krishna and displays sweetness of Krishna, by which one can go more closer to Krishna. Now, last two verses. So this Krishna's practically conclude about how one is qualified, how this devotee, even Sakam Bhakta, is better than demigod worshippers, even better than impersonalist. Now, Lord talks about a special type of devotee. You can't call him a devotee, but still, so this particular person, he wants liberation, and for that he worships Krishna. So Krishna explains about him in 29 and 30. Jara marana mokshaya mam asritya yatanti ye te brahma tad vidhu krishnam adhyatmam karma chakhilam. Please read translation.
Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotion service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
So how about this? What is this particular person? Jara marana mokshaya. Jara means old age and maran means death. So this person is desiring freedom from old age and death. Because of that, he takes shelter of Supreme Lord, but he is mokshkami. He desires revelation. So he doesn't take shelter of jnana process for getting liberation. He directly worships Krishna for attaining liberation, attaining Brahma Jyoti. So he worships me. He knows that Lord is famous as Brahman, Brahman. So he knows the Jiva, Adhyatma, Lord as controller. He knows that there is repeated birth and death. And this repeat death and death is because of law of karma. One creates karma, karma creates next body. But what happens is he worships Supreme Lord. So what happens for them is, so what happens is given in text number 30. Sadi bhutadi devam mam. Hare Krishna. Okay, Susaka Krishna, Arjun Bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Huh.
Prabhu, just having a question related to the previous verse.
Huh.
So here it is mentioned like somebody who has from the previous birth, who is free from all dualities and from sinful activities, all those things and all, they come to the platform of spiritual life. So they will be engaged in the devotion service. Actually, when we see here in the beginning, some people, some devotees, like when it comes like Prabhupada, the hippie's life or something. So how can we compare, Prabhu? Like even though they will be engaged in the sinful activities also, and later point of time they become a devotees of they take up Krishna consciousness. So in that way, how can we can you just a little elaborate, Prabhu?
Okay. See, in that verse, the word used is Dranamrita. Dranamrita means fixed in devotion service.
Okay.
So basically talking about the level of Nishtha. So after Anartha Nivritti comes Nishtha. That's like, we also understand that. So what is basically explained here by the Acharyas is that excessive sins or excessive piety, any of these things, it disqualifies one from devotion. It disqualifies one to become a devotee. So what happens is that if one is too much pious, or I won't say pious, rather one is too much attached, then one cannot come in as one of devotees. Because one can't give up, how can I give my wife, children, everyone, and wife has to go for shopping, and children have to go for eco park, Nico park here and there, different places. So how can I leave them and I can come for the temple program? So when person is so much attached, or even sometimes some people come to temple, you must have seen that rather than darshan of deities, they keep on taking the darshan of wife only. No, because they wait for the signal. They wait for the signal of wife. When your wife is saying, no, please, now let us go. So rather than being attentive here, they are attentive there only. So what happens by asana of devotees? That amount of sin is reduced, which makes one qualified to become little detached and become attached to devotees. And that's basically what initiation. One is initiated in devotion service. One has begun devotion service. But the rest of the things one has to take care. But rest of the things one has to take care means then one further progress in devotion service, slowly anasandaviti is gone. Then yesamuttu antagatam papam. Then all these papas are already gone. Then one can be stable. Otherwise, what happens is till then, person becomes pretty, I would say pretty, but different people, sometimes people who have a lot of sinful background, they become pretty this also. You can say unstable. And that has been seen during Prabhupada times also. Like generally what happens is we highlight only good things, but then certainly Westerners are very frank. This is something which I really appreciate in them. They don't lie, they don't hide things. So many Prabhupada disciples, they say that now our work is we would catch all the hippies, bring them to temple. And then you find one or two may stay, another fellow and run away. They may remain in temple for 2-3 days and run away. So it would be more like a pipeline, people coming and people leaving. And few fortunate souls who are committed, they stay back. So that is how one becomes stable only when anarthas are eradicated. Actually, in the level of Nishtha, the influence of Maya and influence of Krishna or attraction to Bhakti becomes equal. So till then, it's always a struggle to become attached to Krishna. Struggle is there. So that's why that struggle creates instability. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhu. So in that case, in anarthamrita stage, we have to be very, so much of emphasis is given on regulatory principles that we should not be involved in any sinful activities. So,
yeah, we should not be involved in sinful activities, and apart from that, we should be in a son of sincere devotees, strong sincere devotees.
Yes.
So that strength of sincere devotees will create enough punya or give us enough strength to continue devotion service. So certainly devotion devotee is always required, but especially in anartha time, we need a lot of strong devotees, enthusiastic devotees. Practicing alone is very difficult. Okay.
So the symptom, sorry Prabhu, to ask back to back question. Like if so when the determination is developed in our devotion service means it's so which means it is understood that our anarthas have reduced. So
that's getting reduced. Yes, certainly.
that is a symptom of this thing we can analyze.
Yes. So that's why you must have seen, it's like Prabhupada will further go in the last 6 chapters, we'll find. That's why Krishna talks about 3 modes of material in chapter number 14, chapter number 17.
Mm-hmm.
So Prabhupada writes there that there is no qualification to begin bhakti. But to sustain bhakti, one needs more goodness. That's why if person has a little pious background, that helps one to continue devotion service. So one's senses are not like so much pulling him, pushing him, getting a lot of troubles. It becomes easier. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now coming back to this person who is worshipping Krishna for getting Brahman, text number 30. So already I think somebody has read we read the verse, text number 30? No. Okay. Sadhi bhute bhutadi devam mam sadhi yagyam cha ye viduhu prayana kale api cha mam te vidur yukta chetasah. Please read translation.
Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods and all of methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. Hare Krishna.
The Lord says those who develop such knowledge of me by influence or devotion to me, these people, they are not bewildered even in the time of death. Now that's different from other Jnana yogis, Karma yogis, Ashtanga yogi, which were explained in first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. This fellow also wants same thing. He also wants Brahman. He doesn't want Krishna as a person. But just because this fellow has taken total shelter of Krishna, what happens for him is he is not bewildered at the time of death. Other people have to have that determination on their own strength. This fellow, Krishna takes care. And his progress towards Brahman is very, very fast. Because if you remember, we give the example of a medicine and an active agent. Active agent cures the disease. Medicine just takes the rest of the medicine, takes the thing to the right place. Similarly, Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga helps a person to maintain his pace in that particular yoga, but actual elevation in consciousness comes through practice of bhakti. But because this person is just taking shelter of bhakti alone, his progress is like eating pure medicine, pure active agent. So his progress is very, very fast, extremely fast. And Krishna takes care of him even at the time of death. So he doesn't become bewildered like other karmis, jnanis, yogis, etc. So this person, Krishna takes care. And other things like Adi Bhutam, Adi Devam, we will not read now because that we'll just cover now only in the next chapter. So in this way, in last 2 verses, Krishna talks about this so-called devotee who wants Brahman, but for that he takes shelter of bhakti. He takes shelter of Krishna. So for him, the progress is very fast. At the same time, he's not bewildered at the time of death. So that's the benefit which he gets. So in this chapter, Krishna has talked about 6 types of devotees. First verse talks about pure devotion service. Verse number 16 talks about 3 types of karma misra bhaktas. Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi. So 4. Same verse talks about Jnana misra bhakta, who is a Jnani, mentioned there. 7.16. So 5 devotees. And last 2 verse talks about the devotee who wants Brahman, Jara Marana Mokshaya, and he worships Krishna. So he is so-called devotee in the sense that he doesn't want Krishna as a person. So these 6 types of personalities are the subject or topic of discussion in chapter number 7. But in last 2 verses, Krishna has talked about a lot of things. Brahman, Adhyatmam, Karma, Adibhutam, Adidevam, Adiyajnam. And Krishna talks about himself also. So Arjuna becomes puzzled by all these questions. There are now so many terminologies you are using. No, I don't understand these terminologies. So Arjuna would ask these questions in the chapter number 8. So now we'll go to chapter number 8. We still have 50 minutes. So chapter number 8 talks about Yoga Misra Bhaktas. That's the prime talk. People whose devotion is mixed with mystic yoga. So Lord will talk about Suddha Bhakti also, Yoga Misra Bhakti also, and the Lord will compare both of them. And he will also give 2 destinations of the yogis. Now the yoga talked about in this chapter is different from what Lord had discussed in chapter number 6. Chapter number 6 was a Ashtanga yogi, and this Ashtanga yogi wanted to achieve Brahman. This Yoga Misra Bhakta wants to get Krishna, but by the process of devotion service. So, by the process of Ashtanga yoga, not by the process of devotion service. So, the difference between him and Suddha Bhakta, and also between him and so-called yogis or Ashtanga yogis. I won't say so-called, but Ashtanga yogis. So, we'll get into that detail. But after hearing about all these so many terminologies in text, last 2 verses of the previous chapter, chapter number 7, Arjuna begins asking about all these terminologies. Arjuna vacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim purkarma purusottamam adibhutam cha kim proktam adidevam kim uchyate. Please read a translation.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Hare Krishna.
So you are talking as if you are talking some Greek and Latin, my dear Krishna. Brahma, what is this Brahman? Adhyatmam, what is Adhyatmam? Purusottama, who is that Purusottama? Adibhutam. So Sikkim karma. Karma means basically fruitive activity. What are fruitive activities, my dear Lord? Adibhutam, what is Adibhuta? Adidevam kimuchyate, what is Adidevam? So all the terminology I can't understand. Please explain these terminologies to me. And further he answers further questions. Adi yagya katham kvatra dehe asmin madhusudana prayan kale cha katham gyeyo asi nitatma bhi. Please read further.
Who is the Lord of sacrifice, and how does he lives in the body? O Matsudana, and how can these engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
So Adi Yagya, who is the Lord of sacrifice? And how does he reside in the body? And at the time of death, Prayan Kalicha Katham Gyo. So how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Because time of the death is terrible time. It's the time when mucus, bile, gas, everything becomes disarrayed. It chokes the throat. The eyes bulge out of pressure. In such a pitiable situation, how can one remember you? So Arjuna begins to ask all this question. So how can one know this Lord in one's own body? And then Krishna starts answering also. And we'll find Krishna's answers are like all encompassing and the best definitions. So Krishna is super expert. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Aksaram Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhut Bhavo Bhavakaro Visarga Karma Sangitaha. Please read a translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, and the self. Action pertaining to the development of material bodies of the living entities is called karma or fruitive activities.
So Krishna gives super definitions. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So what is Brahma? It is Akshar. Akshar means Chai. Chai means something which depletes. Akshar means something which doesn't deplete at all. So Akshar Paramam means Brahman is Akshar, something which is not destroyed, something which is eternal, something which is supreme. That's Akshar. So Krishna says that Akshar is Brahman because Brahman is used, this word is used at many places. But everywhere it is used everything which is eternal. Like Jagannath is called Daru Brahman. He is a wood, but eternal wood. He is not an ordinary wood. So he is eternal Supreme Lord. Ganga is called Dravya Brahman. It's liquid, but it is spiritual. It's not material. So it has an eternal effect. Brahma Jyoti is called Brahman. We all know. It is eternal. Spiritual world is sometimes called Brahman. It's eternal. Living entity is called Brahman. It is eternal. And even material nature called Pradhan is sometimes called Brahman. The Asam Brahma Mahadiyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. There, Brahma is explained as Pradhan. Material nature in totality is also eternal. It just becomes manifest and unmanifest time to time. Part of material energy we cannot say as eternal. like ingredients of this body, in due course of time they are destroyed. But totality of all the particles is eternal. So then that is also sometimes called Brahman. So there can't be a better definition than what Krishna has given of Brahman. Charam Brahma Paramam, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. So Krishna explains that. And then Svabhavam. Svabhavam, what is this? Svabhavo Adhyatma Muchyate. The eternal nature of the living entity is called Adhyatma. So Svabhav comes from the word Swam Bhavayati. That which produces oneself by imposition of a body. Means something which gives rise to a body. If we have only desire to serve, then our body is spiritual. We don't need a material body. Whatever particular types of desires for sense gratification are there, we get the body accordingly. Those who want to sleep nicely, their bodies are in ignorance. They get a lot of opportunity to sleep. So sometimes, some people, they are pretty exemplary in sleeping. Nobody can sleep like them. Like I know one of the boys, he slept on Friday evening, got up in Sunday afternoon. So he got called a champion. So some people have. So Lord gives them that sort of body also. So according to Svabhav, one gets a gross body. But Svabhav, which helps one to attain Paramatma, is actual Svabhav. It is the actual Svabhav. Svabhav is because we are soul. So then that's the actual Svabhav. So in this way, Adhyatmam would refer to pure Jiva. If that Svabhav is spiritual, then it's called pure Jiva. So Adhyatma is pure Jiva who is qualified to attain Paramatma. So that's Svabhav. So Svabhavam Adhyatmam Uchyate. So the real Svabhav is which helps one to go closer to Krishna, where one has only desire to serve Krishna, no desire for sense gratification. When you have no desire for sense gratification, you don't have a material body. Material body is granted for the purpose of fulfilling the desire for sense gratification. So this is also very expert explanation by the Lord. Okay, so before we take another definitions, I'll take one more definition of karma. Karma is something which causes transmigration of the jiva, the creation of bodies through the metal elements. So Visarkam Bhava Bhuta. It is called karma because it is produced from actions. So karma basically means repetition in this material world, or repetition of living entity in this material world. So Visarga Karma Sangita, something which leads to one's creation of the bodies. No karma, no body. So our actions, they produce good or bad results, and that causes the repetition of birth and death. So this is also a very good definition. Karma is something which causes transmigration. Okay, now Sarojini Kalindi Mataji, she has a question.
Harishna Prabhu, we are talking about Brahman, no Prabhu. You are talking about the material nature which manifests and unmanifest. So that is also called as Brahman only.
So sometimes that also Lord refers as Brahman. In that verse is there, Tasam Brahma Mahadiyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. So when Krishna says Brahma Mahadiyonir, Lord is referring that Brahma is not spiritual world. Or it's not referring to Brahma Jyoti, it's referring to Pradhan.
I have one other doubt, Prabhu. We say Brahman also belongs to the spiritual sky, Prabhu. It's a part of the
Yes.
But we also refer it to the material nature which manifest and unmanifest.
Yes. So that's why one good definition which is encompassing all the different definition of Brahman is something which is eternal. Anything which is eternal can be referred as Brahman. That is why I'm saying the definition given by Krishna is all encompassing definition. Whatever definition of Brahman you may take, but it will fit in this definition that anything eternal is called Brahman. As simple as
Okay, then if we say anything eternal, which is eternal is said to be Brahman, then material nature is not eternal, no Prabhu. It manifest and unmanifest.
that is the meaning of eternity. Na? Eternity means it's not destroyed.
Okay. It manifests and unmanifest, which means it always exists, but sometimes it manifests, sometimes it doesn't manifest.
Yes. You can't say about mobile it is manifest or unmanifest. Why? Because once it is destroyed, we can not be sure that again these all the atoms of this particular mobile will again form a mobile. This is temporary. But all the atoms of entire creation in totality, that is fixed. That will become manifest and unmanifest time to time.
The temporary destructions doesn't count into this. The material nature undergoes temporary destructions, no Prabhu. Like
those destructions are not complete destructions in the sense that, like for example, in our own body, let us say in your body only, some blood is moving from one part of the body to another part of the body. Does that mean that now she is no more Sarojini Kalindi Mataji, see someone else? Is it like that? Because things are happening inside, na?
yes.
So similarly, within the material nature, there will be changes. But in totality, there is no change. Material nature becomes manifest and unmanifest time to time. Does it make clear? Does it clarify?
Yes.
Yeah. See, one thing is all these things become very clear if you are very aware of 24 elements. That is the reason I gave the link to this 24 elements classes. Otherwise, what happens is many of the parts of Bhagavad Gita becomes a little puzzling. So if you know 24 elements clearly, it becomes very easy to understand. Okay. Yeah. Now Krishna gives other definitions also in text number 4. Adhibhutam saro bhavaha purusassadhi devatam adi yagyo aham evatra dehe bhratam vara. Please read translation.
O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called Adi Bhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adi Daiva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as a super soul in the heart of every embodied being, I am called Adi Yajna, the Lord of sacrifice. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So what is Adi Bhuta? Again, very good definition. Charo bhavaha. Anything which is temporary is called Adi Bhuta. So I give example of mobile. Once the atoms of this mobile are disintegrated, I don't want to happen it very soon because I don't want to purchase new mobile, but it will get disintegrated at point of time. So then what will happen is, you can't expect it to come together and form the same mobile. So charo bhava, chaya, something which is destroyed. So things like all metal ingredients, they are called adhibhuta. Simple definition. Okay. Uday Karan 2 has a question. Why can't my mobile be eternal?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, Prabhu, that means this manifest and unmanifest is continuously going on, Prabhu. Like, so sometimes appear, sometimes disappear. So, but how
Yes.
we can use?
Material nature is always manifest, unmanifest, it's never destroyed. It's going on. It's going on eternally. It's like a system where a bird turns into flower, turns into a fruit, again closes down, again becomes a bud. So it is just changing like this. coming in, going out, coming in, going out, coming in, going out. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. It is like that.
But it is never stops, it's continuously going on. So,
Yes, continuously going
like
on. It's cyclic.
and why Prabhu? I mean, like this. I mean,
Why? Means why? Because living entity is rebellious. Why? Living entity rebellious, so it is always going on. Why there is a jail? There may be jail. Why you are concerned? You you will be concerned only when we want to commit crime. Otherwise, why ordinary citizens are not fearful of jail. Ordinary citizens are happy that there is jail, because anybody who will causes harm, they will ultimately have a jail. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So Adibhutam. Then Adidevam. So Adidevam, what Krishna says? Purusas Chadidevatam. Person represents the totality of living entities in the universe, or he who has all devatas existing within him. So basically, Lord is talking about universal form. Universal form who has all demigods within him. Indra is the hand. Ashwini Kumaras are his nostrils. Dig Devatas are his ears. Varun Dev is his tongue. Sorry, Varun, Agni's tongue actually. Agni is the tongue. Varun Deva is the sense of taste. So in this way, illusion is a smile. So that is how all demigods are there within the body of universal form, who is called Adidev. Adidev can also refer to, you can say, original demigods. Adidev. And if you go in that same lecture which I gave, I have explained all these things in great detail. Adibhut, Adidev, Adiyagya. So, and especially Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev. I have explained that very clearly. So all processes of sense perceptions happen because of these combinations. Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev. Like my eye, which is part of myself, is Adhyatma. The object which I am seeing, currently I am seeing a laptop and I am seeing you through that laptop. So then that is made up of metal elements, that is called Adibhuta. And Adidev is a part of universal form for perception of seeing. It is Suryadev, sun god. So sun god is Adidev, who is a part of Virat Roop, or the eye of Virat Roop. So unless until he gives a sun, that I am allowed to see, I can't see. I can see only if he allows to see. So by combination of Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev, there is a possibility of any activity. Okay. Then who is Adiyagya? Adiyagya is Paramatma only.
Krishna Prabhu. I, you say as an example of Adhyatma, Adibhuta is seeing capacity.
No, Adibhut is objects of my seeing. For example, currently I am seeing laptop made up of different elements. That's Adibhuta. And Adideva is the sanctioning demigod, which is a part of Virat Roop. Okay. Yes. And then Adhiyagya is Paramatma himself. Paramatma who induces other to perform yagya. Paramatma who is central enjoyer of all the yagyas. So in a yagya, especially I'm talking about Dravya yagya, the fire of the yagya is called tongue of Vishnu. So when one gives ahuti, it goes to, we say Swaha. Swaha is actually wife of Agni. She gives it to husband. Husband supplies to all the demigods who are part and parcel of Lord Vishnu or Virat Rupa. So in this way, Adiyagya is Supreme Lord himself. That's why Lord says, "O Vara, O best person, among those who have bodies, you are the best. Because you are my devotee, you are my friend, you have direct relationship with me." So in this way, Lord says that, in this way he explains. And now Arjuna had a last question about point of death. Point of death, how can one remember you? So Lord answers that in text number 5. अंधकाल च मामेवा स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरं या प्रयाति स मद्भावां याति नास्ति अत्र संशयः. Please read translation.
And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Hare Krishna.
So how is Lord to be known at the point of death? So remembering me, knowing me in truth. One who knows in Lord in truth, remembers Lord at that point of death. So such a person can go back to the Lord. So Lord says, there's no doubt about it. So if somehow or the other one can remember the Lord at the point of death, then one will go to the Supreme Lord. But what if one cannot remember? What if somehow the situations are so bad one can't remember the Lord? So Bhumi Devi had a similar question to Lord Varahadev. She said, what about my children? They are practicing devotional service. But death is so painful that they may not be able to remember you, my Lord. What about them? So the Lord speaks one verse, which is one of the Charam Slokas of Sri Vaishnavas. So Sri Vaishnavas have 3 Charam Slokas. One sloka is Sarvadharan Partaja, famous one, which we have in Bhagavad Gita. Second one is spoken by Lord Ram when he receives Vibhishan. Sakre depa pannuyas tasmiti chayachate abhyam sarvada tasme dadamiti mitamama. So when Vibhishan comes with his soldiers to take side of Lord Ram, everyone except Hanuman says don't accept him. And they have like very, very solid reasons. Very solid reasons. Like Sugri gives a very, very logical reason. He says, first thing is a Rakshasa. How can you believe in? He may backfire and stab you at the last moment. Second thing is, let us say, even if he is very sincere, being a Rakshasa, this person has strong attachment for the family. At the last moment, it might happen that his affection for his brother may come out and he may backstab you at the end moment, even if you trust him. So he is not like a sense-controlled person who is very attached to the Lord, has no attachment for his family members. He's not like that. Then Hanumanji said, no, I've seen him as chanting your names, you can accept him. And then they ask for Lord's advice. What do you want? So then Lord speaks this verse. Somebody comes to me and once says, Sakaradev means only once, then my dear Lord, I am yours. What I do? Abhyam sarvadatasme. I gave him shelter for eternity. I gave him shelter for eternity. He has spoken once. I gave shelter for eternity. Dadami vitamam. I have taken this vow. So he is taking my shelter. I cannot refuse him. So the second charam sloka. The third one is Varahadev speaking to Bhudevi about Bhudevi's concern. So what he says? Yadaivat adi dosena mad bhakta mam cha na smaret aham smarami mad bhakta mayami param gatem. So he says Yadaivat dosena, maybe because of disarray of the air, mucus coming in the throat, eyes bulging out because of pressure, my devotee may not be able to remember me, but I will remember him. Even if he is not able to remember me, who will remember? I'll remember him. And I'll take him back to Godhead. Because if I don't do that, I would be called ungrateful. I am not ungrateful. So that's why these rules and regulations are more meant for other yogis, not for devotees or practicing pure devotion service. So when one is healthy, hale and healthy, at that time, if one gives one's time for Krishna, Krishna will take care of us when we are not healthy, when we are sick. That's why we have to try our best in whatever situation it may be. And I had expressed to you before also, I've seen the people who have surrendered to Krishna, they're never at loss. So I'm also very mentally calculative. So because of that, no, sometimes I would feel like, no, before admitting, and that's our service. Basically, we have to be practical in our services. So because my service is to see whether who can be admitted in the brahmacharya ashram or not. So we lot of materially calculate whether, let us say tomorrow he wants to leave, what will happen to him. But we have seen people getting, most of the devotees got a salary hike after spending 2 years, 3 years in brahmacharya ashram, whenever they wanted to leave. Recently, one of my counselors stayed for 5 years. And I thought, no, his whole career is destroyed. But then he was trying for getting MS. I tried now, told him, no, try nicely. Because no, I told him you are passed out from NIT. No, you should try nicely. Amazingly, unexpectedly, just the day I was leaving for ISKCON, he sent me a message in a project I got in Arizona State University. It's #1 in computer science in the whole world. So then that gave me a lot of faith. Anybody surrenders to Krishna, he is never lost. He is never at loss. So surrender to Krishna is always very, very, very beneficial. So if one gives time to Krishna, Krishna will give eternal time. One gives money to Krishna, one will get eternal benefit. So there's no loss in surrendering. Only thing is there's lack of faith. So sometimes we are too calculative, so lack of faith is there. And some devotees have a lot of faith. Now, some devotees I know, no, they just travel here and there and keep on preaching. Krishna arranges for everything. So Krishna takes care. Next verse. How is it possible to remember Krishna at the point of death? So that also Krishna gives solution. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajanti antakale evaram tam tam eveti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Please read the translation.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
So like by remembering Krishna, one gets Krishna. Similarly, by remembering any other object, one gets that object. Sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever thoughts influence a person in the whole life, one gets a similar body in the next life. That's why what we think matters a lot. That matters a lot. Like one, there's a true story of a devotee who had joined in London temple. He was like a new brahmachari for maybe a year or 1.5 years. But then what happened is one Mataji would come in the temple and he was very attracted, especially to her eyes. She was a Gujarati lady. And this devotee mostly was a foreign devotee. And he happened to meet this during Prabhupada times. And he happened to meet death because of sleeping in the car while driving the car. Because our devotees are very dangerous. We should be careful to take proper rest. Most of the devotees don't take proper rest. Oh, it's true for myself also. I also have to take proper rest. But I don't drive a car. So then he met an accident and he died. So then later on, actually he got a next body and he got body exactly like that Mataji only. So this lady again happened to go in the same temple. And when she was going through one set of photographs, she felt as if, no, I have seen these things sometime before also. And then I think, as far as I remember, she was a disciple of Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So when she was like, serving Bhakti Maharaj jokingly spoke that now, which man were you in the previous life? And then she did some research and she found actually she was a brahmachari in the past life. And then she met that lady also whom she became attracted to. And then they found they almost had a similar physical features. So that is what, where you are attracted to, you get a similar body in next life. But because she had practiced devotion service as he in the previous life, so she continued devotion service. Kalandima is saying she is Raghavi Mata. I don't remember the name, so I can't confirm. But so that is how we have seen practically also. So whatever one remembers, one gets a body accordingly. So that's why we should be watchful about our thoughts. Okay, Susukha Arjun.
Oh, like in this context, actually, I just wanted to have one question. This regarding back to Godhead. So, like whatever state we just basically for devotees, why we want, our intention is to go back to Godhead. So actually, this back to Godhead is spoken in different contexts in different places. Like suppose it is said that if we can remember the God, during the end of the life, then we can go back. And I have heard some Bhagavatam, few devotees will say even a tinge of material, attachment, even tinge, then we will not be able to go back to God, as it is said. And even one more time, I have heard Bhagavatam class where, so here in this planet, when we perform, we do not have any kind of an attachment. But while passing through different planets, when we are in a process of going back to Godhead, so we may have a, any of the planets if we get attached also. So then we missed, there is a possibility. So, and sometimes Prabhupada said, so never worry, in this lifetime, if you just follow regulative principles and chant 16 rounds, then in this one lifetime, you can go back to Godhead. So this context, even it appears like, our life, goal of life is to go back to Godhead. It is very puzzled. Like, we get so scared actually when the process of practicing devotion service also. So how?
Which is true, actually speaking, all are true. All are true. All are true in the sense that when we progress gradually, material desires are destroyed. Attraction for Krishna comes. Moksha lagecha akrit sudarlava. Even the pleasure of moksha becomes very minimum when one gets Krishna prem. Then one will certainly not get attracted to other planets. There's no question of getting attracted to other planets. So all these effects, they come simultaneously. But main thing is when Prabhupada is saying 16 rounds and 4-day principles, Prabhupada is not saying one day you chant 16 rounds and 4-day principle and you will go back to Godhead.
This lifetime.
So in one of the lectures where I heard, Prabhupada said that you people are young people, because all the devotees are like 16, 17, 18, 20, 21. And Prabhupada said that at least 50 years you will live on this planet. So 16 rounds, 4-day principle, you will go back to Godhead. And I found one count given by Brahmaji. So I calculated if somebody can 16 rounds every day, it will take him 55.5 years to complete that quota. Brahmaji says if one chants even Hare Krishna mantras, one will go back to Godhead. So that means if you complete this quota in 55.5 years, then one will certainly go. No doubt about it. Like we had this verse which says, Tushti Pushti Sudha Payo Anugasam, Bhakti Parishanu Viraktir. That now, as soon as one takes food, one gets satisfied, Tushti, Pushti, one gets nourishment, Sudha Payo, one gets freedom from hunger. Similarly, one gets Bhakti, which gives satisfaction, devotion. Parishan Bhava, one can see the hand of Krishna. And Virakti, one gets detachment from this world. They happen simultaneously. But then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a warning there that you can't expect to eat 1 grain of rice and say, oh, hunger is not going. At least take 3-4 morsels of food, then you can say that hunger is not going. Then that makes some sense. That is a serious concern. Not you take 1-2 grains and say, no, hunger is not going. How will hunger go? Take enough. So similarly, certain good amount of practice of bhakti is required to see the effect. You can't
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
We are not able to hear.
Looks like Prabhu is rejoining. Yeah, Prabhu is rejoining.
So I became disconnected because of network problem. So you got your answer, Susaka Ajanpu?
Yes, but somewhere it stuck. We were saying in between last, I missed out. Basically, you were mentioning like how much amount of grains we are taking. So that will satisfy our hunger. Similarly, we cannot expect immediately to happen. The process of devotion, how much intensely we do it, that much.
So that's why it's a process of whole life. So patience is required. Patience is the most important quality in bhakti.
So,
So
just adding up. So now, one devotee now in the beginning stage, actually, even they are very over for this thing. They are undergoing a lot of trouble with family, especially being women. She is overreacting actually. She's very hyper this thing, and they don't have somebody who don't have that much of tolerance, like how to manage people. They get reacted very fast, and they say I've taken this kind of decisions. Sometimes they become very serious in devotion. They are very much interested also, but at the same time here they're reacting whether I choose a no very soon. Tolerance is not there. How to manage them, probably. So maybe
intolerance comes from undue expectations, unreasonable expectations. Intolerance comes from unreasonable expectations. So we have to tell people to be reasonable.
okay.
Like no, one lady was there. She was telling that no, her one husband died. She married some other man, and this man later on married some other woman.
Okay.
So because of that particular man, he never paid attention to her throughout her life. She's an old lady now. So she was coming and telling, no, I'm chanting Hare Krishna since 1 year. Why this my husband is not coming? Total undue expectation. Super duper materially motivated devotion service. So then I told her, what is nonsense? Whole life your husband has not come to you, and now you're expecting just because you are chanting Hare Krishna, my husband should come to me. Everything should be all right. All seasons should be spring seasons. Flowers should come out, fruits should come out. Anywhere I dig in the ground, water should come out. Anywhere I put a plate, immediately no sperm should fall on the plate. So this is called undue expectations. So one should not undue expectations. One should be practical actually.
Realistic.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Narasimham Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, this question I have means this doubt. So for Gruhasthas, the time spent is means maximum very less time we can spend. So we chant 16 rounds and then after that, yes, we get back to our daily routines and going to offices and these things. And okay, for brahmacharis, yes, definitely they spend the whole day in Krishna consciousness. So considering this, like, so for Gruhasthas, so with this 2 hours or 1 hour, and and going back to Godhead in one lifetime, is it possible, Prabhu? Because sometimes and at the time of death to remember with this 1 or 2 hours a day doing, will it be possible? Sometimes, yeah, this doubt comes to my mind.
It is possible if you have patience, because Krishna is answering your question in the next verse.
Oh, okay. Okay, Prabhu. Fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Tasmat sarvesu kalesu mam anusmar yuddhacha may arpit mano buddhir mam ivesasi asamsaya.
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duties of faithing, which you activities described to me, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt.
So the solution is given. Your answer, Krishna is answering. Mam anusmar yuddhacha. He is not saying only yuddha. Mam anusmar should also go on. So Krishna is saying, remember me and fight. Then without doubt, one whose intelligence and mind is offered to me attains me. That means by mind create a decision to think of me alone. Through intelligence, discriminate and think of me alone. So that's why one should practice to absorb one's internal senses in Krishna also, apart from external senses. So it's not about brahmachari grasthas, really speaking. Many brahmacharis have experienced, including myself, that sometimes brahmacharis have to take 10 times more anxiety than grasthas. So much anxiety is there, so many services here and there you have to manage. Now, currently today only, this is my third Bhakti Sastri class. And then we have opened a school of 175 students. Those things are there. So many counselors, so many troubles. So troubles keep on coming. So no one cannot run away from the troubles just because one wears saffron clothes.
Yeah.
So whatever karma is there, one gets bad karma. Anxiety is there. So that's why what we have to do is we also have to learn the art of absorbing our mind in Krishna. So generally what I do is I somehow try to get absorbed in Krishna. So in the morning time when I go for my morning duties for washroom, etc. So every day I try to remember some verse, memorize some verse. Whenever I get some free time, I put on some kirtans or something like that. Sometimes even in the night also I try put some low volume kirtans. So in this way, somehow the other we should try to absorb our mind in Krishna, Mamanusmar and Yuddhacha. So it's a struggle. It's a sadhana in the initial state. But in due course of time, what we have experienced is this sadhana does become successful. One can remember Krishna and fight. It's possible. Especially in IT days, I remember practically I would hear Kirtan 24 hours except attending the class time or Japa time. So that helps. So always there would be some Kirtans running in the background. So that helps too. Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu. So suppose if we sit sometimes that marathon meetings will go, Prabhu, in the office. So at that time, there's no chance we'll be presenting or hearing point by point, and things unnecessarily we complicate in this software. And what happens is we don't get any time to even think about that. So if you're doing some cooking or something, there's a chance. But when we do these activities, so at that time, definitely it is difficult, Prabhu. So what you're saying is in the other time, at least spend wisely. That's what you're saying, Prabhu.
Certain things may require very intense absorption, but I would say even they become superseded. I'll tell you a very simple example. Even if you have very intense meetings, sometimes it might happen that somebody is sick in the family. Don't your mind becomes imbued in both the thoughts together? Yes, Narasimhan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
How did it happen? So Mamanusmar Yuddha is possible. It's possible all the times. It's not that it's not possible. Because there is always something which is always going on in the background. What to say, you having intense meeting, I also have intense meetings. So sometimes, especially when we have to take some decisions. So almost for 2.5 years, I was into intense management and administration. So brahmachari issues, which are supposed to resolve by temple president, somehow, it's like they are given to some department. I was in that department. So 7.5 hours or 8 hours, the meetings would go and we would resolve some issues. But thing is in between, you remember some holy name, some kirtan, some verses in between. It is possible. It's possible to manage.
Okay, Prabhu.
So it's a practice. So it's practice. Just try it.
Yeah.
So as far as I know, it works. It works.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Hare Krishna.
See, there's some devotees who are expert, like I know Bhakti Vidya Poon Maharaj. At least I have seen him. Even while talking, he would give some intellectual answers. And his, this clicker would go on. So he would chant practically 24 hours. Sometimes while giving classes also, his clicker would go on. So I was thinking, I want to practice like him. Maybe while doing this, 24 hours, I can continue chanting. But how he has achieved this, now he's a Prabhupada disciple, his whole life he must have tried. Now he has achieved such a success. So there are devotees who achieve such a success. So not all of us are super experts, but at least we can try. What is harm in try? Okay, Susukardhan too.
Hare Krishna. We tend to practice in association, but sometimes we become so complacent. Like practicing, then we became casual, like that it keeps on. So how to, always have that attitude of sincerely practicing so that we can absorb.
Select some sincere devotees and remain in their association. That's the only key. So like I was telling you, our recent experience, just because all the devotees were chanting 64 rounds and some were chanting 108 rounds in ISKCON, person who was not chanting at all, he became so influenced, he started chanting 64 rounds. Now I don't know how long he will continue 64 rounds every day. Now a few days have passed. But main thing is, such an energy has come. So asana of sincere devotee is very powerful. It's very powerful. So that's why we should have asana of some sincere devotees who are very intense in their practice, and we should associate with them time to time. Like I have few devotees. So for Japa, generally I consult, I have Krishanan Prabhu. He's the person very intense in Japa. So whenever he comes to Mayapur or somewhere, this time I couldn't go, he was calling me. But generally I spent few days, I chant 64 rounds with him. Then it's like I get fuel for another 6 months, 7 months after chanting with him. So similarly regarding philosophy, etc. So then we have Janmashtami Prabhu is there. Fortunately, Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj is ready to guide me for some time. So these are devotees who are like Prabhupada disciples and they have been practicing since a long time. So coming in their association, that energy comes. So asana of devotee is very powerful. That helps. Okay. And asana means asana is very intense people. Okay. Sarojini Kalindi Mataji.
So as you're saying, it's only by deliberately we need to think, no Prabhu, like it doesn't come automatically.
Naturally. So that's why Krishna has given it as a sadhana. He's not seeing it as a result of something. Tasmat sarvaisu kalesu ma manusmaryudacha. Therefore, all the time, remember me and fight. It is an instruction. That means it's not natural for us, still we have to do it.
Unless
Actually
it becomes,
speaking,
no, it should. We should practice to the point where it becomes spontaneous. So unless we reach that, we
Yes.
have to deliberately. We have to put effort. There is no other way we can.
no other way. What to say of devotees, even those who are non-devotees? Anyway, the time is over. I'll just finish with that. It is that those who are intellectuals, they don't just think. They think what they think. That means they know their nature. And they think what they want to think. That means they can manage what I should think at what point of time. So that's why we should not just manage our gross senses, our gross schedule. We should also manage our subtle schedule also. And if we do it, if we try it, it is possible. It's possible to control the mind and make it focus towards Krishna conscious activities. And even if we feel where is the loss, that's gain only. Okay, fine. So we'll end here. From text number 8, we'll take in the next class. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.